it's weird not doing this in headphones, like, and not hearing myself. So I'm so used to wearing headphones so all of a sudden I can hear like how I sound and things.
Yeah.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the WODprep podcast. I'm here with Claire. How do you say your last name? Bays.
Nice
Sweet.
and simple.
Peace. Peace. We sell peace, right? Tony Stark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Peace, love. Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah. Thanks for coming on the pod.
Yeah. How does it feel to do this while you know that you have all these other things lingering? Like you got all those tabs open, you know?
Oh, I mean, it just is what it is. Yeah, it's life.
Cool.
Yeah, I operate always lots and lots of fear. I call it like the spider web. So just the amount of things and directions that I operate at all times is like a lot of them sort of move in one direction, but they all really move in different directions. And so they don't really overlap.
Okay.
So I call it just like my inside of my head is just like a spider web. Coaching, managing, content creation, podcast, family, which is like very important. And so
you're the center of the web, and then it's just all coming out.
Yeah. So it's like everything that comes out of my brain is just in a different direction.
Damn.
Nothing is like on like one spectrum.
Does that give you anxiety, or are you fine?
Yeah. No, I don't think I get too much anxiety. I go through waves for sure.
Yeah.
Right. Are you interviewing me on this podcast? Which is totally fine.
No, I'm just curious.
No, it's cool. It's all right.
My brain, like,
it's fine. I mean, everyone in the
like
people in the chat know me. But it's cool. We can just have like casual conversation. So yeah, I mean, I think everyone goes through waves. I've like accepted that I will have waves of like high anxiety times.
Yeah.
And I think that's what helped a lot, because there's definitely points when I started the business and started the Movie Doctor back in 2017 where I was like a couple weeks and I'm just like, this fucking sucks. I can't handle this. Like, this is terrible. And then I think I read a book and I was like, hey, anxiety is just part of life. Like, it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to medically address it. You don't have to do all these things. Like, it's going to come in waves. It comes in waves for everyone. And I've just accepted that and I let it roll through and then I don't worry about it. And then it goes way substantially faster than it used to.
Yeah.
So, hey guys in chat, can you let us know if our mics sound okay? Please, that would really help since I can't hear diddly. I'm assuming they do.
Someone said, is the chat going to be involved today?
Yeah, I've got the computer up. So Gus, you are more than welcome to be off kilter. Just be nice to Claire. She's a guest. Gus is a regular on pretty much every podcast in the YouTube space.
Okay.
In the CrossFit YouTube space. But
well, you got it.
Kind of like a tin can. Okay. Well, we'll try our best.
Oh God.
Let's just double check to make sure that it's all coming through.
It is a tin can.
Oh, it is. That's why. Oh, uh-oh.
Do you want to put your headphones on and play?
No. It's not connected. That's why. How does that even happen?
It's because he has this fancy.
Yeah, I know that.
Caster.
Well, it's not even connected to the computer.
And
all right, keep talking.
To other publications, you want me to just keep talking?
Mm-hmm.
If you keep listening to other publications that also use them, I feel like they are like this really cool thing, and then they're kind of a challenge.
Yeah, they're definitely a challenge.
So I'm excited that you're using it, just so that I can see it.
All right, how's that sound, guys? All right, so we put it together. It just picked it up. It's decent enough. All right, so audio. All right, we should be better now.
Decent enough. Dang, here we are using these microphones, and they're only just.
This is amateur hour. Enough. It is. I fuck up most podcasts. It was on the computer. Well, it wasn't even connecting. Like, so it sounded great when I had the headphones on.
Yeah.
And it was just literally picking up the computer, which is so amazing how, like, because if I held this up, they can't hear anything. But the Mac would pick us up in the whole room.
Mm-hmm.
It's mind blowing. This is like $100.
No, these are a few hundred. They're nice. Yeah. This should.
Nice.
Yeah.
I held it out here.
Yeah.
It picks up. Yeah. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's wild. Anyways, amazing. Even perfect. Thanks.
Ken. Oh, way better.
Awesome. So where are we? What are we doing?
We are in Louisville, Colorado.
Yeah.
Which is in Boulder County. And we are at Coda Iron View.
Sweet.
And we're here for the Coda Iron Games.
Presented by WODprep. Yeah. Cool. And what are you doing here?
I'm here to hold a microphone for an exorbitant amount of time and be in people's ears.
Sweet. How do you hold? Is it like, do you have like a Wi-Fi mic that you're gonna like be rolling around with?
Oh, up there?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I don't.
Just like a non.
It's just about there's no
Yeah,
cord.
okay.
Definitely no cord.
Great.
Yeah, I have emceed with a cord, and it's funny.
That's
They
why
like dragging that thing around.
Yeah,
You get
you
real
have like
stuck.
a person. You're like the cord guy, like the camera guys have.
Like on real like NFL or something like that. They're running down the back. No.
Just like over.
Yeah, it wasn't fancy, but it was little and it was so fun to do. It was so fun to do. But no, tomorrow I will have a cordless microphone.
So the MC thing, is that what you would define this as being an MC?
Yes.
What does MC stand? I don't even know what it stands for.
I know. Honestly, like, and I mean, some people spell it MC and some EMCEE.
Yeah.
To be honest,
it's not an acronym.
Right.
That's right. I looked that up at some point and I realized that I was like, wow, I thought it was an acronym my entire life.
Well, but I think even still, and maybe the chat will have something to say about it, but it definitely, if it stands for something, I don't know.
Right.
So it probably does. I haven't looked that far into it. I have been asked to do the gig a few times. I'm very grateful for that. Like, it's such a cool thing.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I don't know. I haven't explored it a ton.
Kenneth says it's master of ceremonies. I'm gonna guess he's lying, but my chat.
like that.
My chat has like a wild bandwidth of knowledge. When I'm like, hey, I have no idea what this is, and they're like, here is the Wikipedia, but they they know it.
They're probably right, but also I'm so glad it's abbreviated because no one ever needs to call me a master of ceremonies.
Are you sure?
Ever. Yeah, I'm sure. I don't need that.
If you have tattoos, like you might get MC tattooed on you at some point in time, but like master of ceremonies would be like a sweet like overlay. No,
I'm sorry. Did you just say that I would get MC tattooed?
I don't know. You might.
Oh, okay. I mean, I did get Chase the Vibe at WODpalooza, literally in the booth on a whim. So
you should get a beach ball. I mean, if you do beach ball like 3 years in a row, you should get a beach ball tat.
Fair enough.
Okay. So tell me about he's not lying. It is master of ceremonies. Thanks.
I believe him. Also, we'll just stick with MC.
Yeah. It originates for formal dinner parties, celebrations, parties, etc. Thanks, buddy. Again, I have, yes, we know what fucking DJ stands for. It stands for disc jockey. Yes, Jesus Christ. So this is like a newer rendition of Claire and like what you do being an MC.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, this role specifically, I mean, even the podcast, because I do the podcast as well, my own. And that all stemmed from people saying you need to have a podcast. And I had lost my job and I was like, okay, fine. So that wasn't yet again, like, I really want to start one. But now I'm really grateful to be doing it. And it's a very different structure than this one as far as it's not live and so on. But so with MC, same thing. I mean, as far as my like journey in the fitness industry for work goes, it's definitely just been, I love events. I love CrossFit events. I love events. And being a part of them is something I want to do. And so I've had a different role at different seasons. And here recently, this has been a role that has been offered a handful of times. And I'm really grateful for that. And I'm leaning into it. If it's a way that I get to be involved, like I'm here for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to open doors for sure. Like, more podcasting opportunities, you meet more people.
Yeah.
Especially if you get involved with WODpalooza. Like, I mean,
yeah.
It's like a lot of big names. And
I was on the podcast stage at WODpalooza 2 years ago, I think.
For your podcast?
Yes.
Tell me about that. What's your podcast name?
Revolutionary. It's Conversations with Claire. Literally.
Sick.
Yep. Yeah.
Sweet.
And on my YouTube channel, it's like a playlist on there. Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway.
Awesome. And so what's your podcast about?
Conversations with Claire. Yeah, it's very conversational. It's a pretty broad range of topics. I was talking to Kevin because I had him on, which that'll come out in a couple of weeks earlier today about it. And in season 1 of it, right? I launched the podcast because people said, you need to do that, right?
Seasons? You have seasons?
Yeah.
There's like episodes? What are you, Game of Thrones? Yeah. What is happening over here?
No, there's a reason. It will make sense. I'll bring it together. Just hang in tight with me. So season 1 is where I simply launched it and I had unrealistic expectations of how it would perform.
Right.
And so I paid someone money when I wasn't making money. So I was in the hole on the deal to help with the production of it. Right. And so that was just simply like, I wanted to do the thing. I had come out of a different career anyway. And so season 2 is whenever I took it all on myself. But the change there also was, it went from, I need to make this thing successful as fast as possible. And so I still had, like, if you look at those first, I don't know, roughly 50 episodes that are in what I'm calling season 1, which are audio only.
You did 50 episodes? Good for you.
I'm almost to 90. I think that one we recorded today is 90.
What's up?
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. Hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've done a few of them, and they're like, I'm telling you, they are good.
Yeah.
But it has changed from I need to make this thing work. And so don't get me wrong, like I'm telling you, if you go like look through the guest list, it's like so cool. It's so crazy cool. But in season 2, whenever I started to do all of it myself and had to be convinced by my boyfriend, among other people, like, hey, you can actually do this yourself. You don't need somebody else to like, you can film it, you can edit it. I'm like, and I did, and it's fine.
Nice.
And so anyway, it's changed, and now I'm not concerned about if the guest has a personal brand or anything like that. Like if that's wonderful, if so,
right.
But like if it is simply a conversation I want to have. So yes, because I have deep roots in the CrossFit space, there's a lot of that type stuff, but there's also episodes about addiction because that's a part of my past, right? And so I have people in that world, and I mean, even like whether it's food related or porn addiction. I mean, I've got a very broad range. Cool. I hope I didn't just get you flagged. I don't know how that works. Sorry.
No, we could. I don't know.
But anyway, yeah. And so it's just conversational.
Cool
topics I want to talk about.
That's sweet. Awesome. And do you monetize it? Like, is it something that like brings in cash flow?
Literally nothing yet. I have done a terrible job of prioritizing that. So that's something I should
get some sponsors.
I haven't tried it all. Yeah. And so I've had a couple of communications about it, but
not to like put you out there or anything. You can also just tell me to fuck off if I ask anything you don't want to answer.
No, it's fine. I'll navigate. We're good. We're good. No, that is something that if I was looking at it through a business lens, then I would probably be doing some things differently. But right now, what it has given me is this beautiful vehicle to have these conversations that I wouldn't otherwise be having. Like I wouldn't prioritize a sit down chat long term with someone, and vice versa if I wasn't recording it and turning it into content and so on. So, and anyway, it's a very worthwhile endeavor to me. And should I work on that side of things? Have I?
Is everything in person? You do it all in person?
As of right now, all in person. And the first 50 whatever were not all in person. Some of them were done via Riverside, but now they're all in person.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool, sweet.
I like it.
And so, all right. So you have your podcast. So what else do you do?
We talked about this earlier.
So
I think, it was great because whenever you were like trying to figure it out, you're like, so, and then you used the I word.
The influencer. Well, you have like a lot of followers, right?
That's what you said.
I don't know how many followers you have. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. So
I didn't know. I didn't know. They were like, because people ask me and they're like, hey, what do you think about her MC? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I have no idea. It's like, I mean, she seems vibrant. I think that's like, outgoing.
A good part of the role, hopefully.
Yeah, that's like the most important part. Are you an introvert? Yes. Well, probably shouldn't be an MC then, right? That's what we asked Ben. And Ben's an introvert. He's like, absolutely not. And
you would probably be great at it though.
You would crush it.
You do have people. I actually got to MC an event with someone at one point. They were MCing as well, who they have I think a stutter. And as soon as you put the microphone in front of them, they don't have it anymore. Right. And that's so cool.
That is interesting. I think like singing does that too. It's
really?
Like just, it's like a confidence thing. Most stutters are like confidence driven. I think like it's like the base, they're just like unconfident what they have to say. They're scared or they're fearful or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a coach. Sorry, I'm a coach. That's like what I do day to day.
All right, cool. And what do you coach?
In person, I do predominantly one-to-ones with a little bit of group fitness. My group fitness is CrossFit. And then my one-to-ones is very, of course, dependent on what the individual needs. Sure. And then for my online coaching, I have an app. And so on there, we do weekly calls and they get their meal plans and they get their progressive overload resistance
is your app
training.
Called Fitness with Claire?
Oh my gosh, you are so close. It's not even funny. You should try again.
Let's see.
This is great.
All right. So it was Conversations with Claire. You said I was close.
Yeah, you are you know that game, like whenever you're going searching for the thimble and you're like ice cold and then you get closer. Have you ever played the thimble game?
The thimble? No, I mean, I played like hot cold. I think.
Okay, well, that's what, but we just searched for a thimble.
What?
I don't know.
Oh, what? Like the
thimble.
Yeah. Why is it a thimble? Could it be anything? Is it just happen to be a thimble?
That's what I was taught when I was a child.
Okay.
That's all I got.
All right. Fitness with Claire. I don't know.
Just go a little bit more broad, a little bit more like
broad. Fitness with friends.
No, it's wellness with Claire.
Wellness. Oh man.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
you were so close. You were there. You were there. Yeah. It's more holistic. And it's a vibe. And there are definitely some members in the chat. So like shout out, I see you and I love you. They're my people.
I haven't seen a thimble in 30 years. I'm 34 and I don't think I've ever actually Monopoly, right? Isn't there one of Monopoly?
Maybe.
Like one of the pieces?
Maybe.
Have you never played Monopoly?
I've played it a number of times, but that game takes patience and that's a struggle for me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Mhm.
You shot an hour and a half podcast with Kevin.
Yeah.
Is that a long one for you for normal?
Nope.
No, but patience is a struggle.
Yeah, with something like a game where you have to I don't know. But I guess maybe you're looking at it through different lenses. In conversation,
Mhm.
I got all the
Sure.
time in the world.
Yeah, for sure.
I would prefer to.
Okay, cool. So the app is, tell me what the app was for. Who uses it?
Yeah. So I've been figuring it out. We talked about this a little bit before, but I like to say that I put the cart before the horse as far as like getting the app up and running before I had even really like gotten honed in and clear on my offering as a coach. And so it's definitely been a journey, but it's the coolest, like it's a really good product.
Mhm.
The app itself, the functionality of it is beautiful. They get full-blown meal plans. We have registered dietitians on the team, which allows for that. And then also resistance training that's progressive overload and it's individualized to their goals and so on. So that's all within there. And then of course there's a lot of conditioning and CrossFit type stuff available. But for most of my, like, we also do weekly group coaching calls and then I have one-on-ones and so on. So there's a lot of like mindset work taking place as well. So people show up there generally whenever they would like to get better in some area of life and would like a community. Like I think that that's kind of, that's why these gyms are so wildly popular is because you're seeking a community and it's an online one, but definitely that's like a huge draw is the support side of things for sure.
Where made you want to go into that? You said you had a career before fitness.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because you have like a pretty broad like foothold in fitness currently, right? You do the MC thing, you like do in-person coaching, like so like you really branched, right? But you didn't do anything in the fitness space prior to this, like at all?
No.
Even before your last career?
No.
Which was real estate?
Yeah. I left that in 2020.
How old are you?
I am 32.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're a baby.
Thanks.
You've done a lot. You've done a lot for 32.
That's
awesome.
Great. Because sometimes when you're in it, you're like,
oh yeah.
Oh,
well, you
God.
look at like you looked at, oh, I found this 21-year-old. That's a billionaire. I'm a piece of shit. It's like
no, you hear of people like, I mean, as far as this season of my life, I feel financially silly. And then when I hear of people being more financially savvy, I'm like,
yeah,
that sounds, whatever,
Right,
just
right.
because I simply had other seasons of my life where it was easier to be that way. And then in this season, it's been very dump energy into something a lot and not see a lot of monetary reward up front. But that's like, I'm at peace with that. It's just an area of life where I'm like, am I an adult?
Yeah. Well, it's weird. It's weird. I don't know. I mean, I have a family now, but to have like a huge reduction of income would really crush me mentally. That would be one of the hardest things. Cause not that I deem a lot of my success based on how much money I make, but it's leading the lifestyle that we want, right? We have a camper, we do the camping thing and, we're trying to retire my wife and like all those things. And so like, what we've talked about, like a stark difference in income, it would be like, I would struggle a lot with it. So it's awesome. You found some peace with it.
Yeah. Well, I also don't have those variables,
Right.
I don't have children and so on. That's something I hope to do, but I don't yet. And so those are,
Did you hear that? Wait, hold on. What was his name? Hold on. What was his name? Jimmy? Yeah. I was just making sure he heard that.
Oh, that I want children. Yeah, he's aware. He actually does a great job of like having conversations up early,
That's good.
Yeah. It's really nice. Whenever he asked about that well before we were very serious in it all. And I was like, oh, what? Anyway, yeah, he's awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Cool. You always tell when someone feels someone because you're like, as soon as you said Jimmy, you're like, yeah, big smile.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Gus or Jimmy overcooking. That's funny. So what made you want to leave real estate and like make this huge, and how old were you when you did that?
Yeah, I made the decision when I was 29.
Okay. So you did real estate from like
6.5 years.
Yeah. Did you go to college?
Nope. No
Cool.
college.
No college. You were in Oklahoma?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I was in Oklahoma for the first 30 years of my life.
Okay.
Moved to Austin when I turned 30, the month I turned 30. And my like background is like I didn't play sports ever. And so growing up,
Did you do fitness like prior to like getting into fitness?
I went to a CrossFit gym. The cool story is Kevin's this gym in Oklahoma.
Yeah, tell us that story.
I heard about it from a friend right when they opened. And actually the friend is Rawson, who is the workout that we do annually as a community for mental health because we lost him to that. And so we were coworkers right when I first moved to Norman, and he was going to the Coda, right? And so he's like, you got to come. I went for a few weeks, or even if that, I don't know, it freaked me out. I would drive around the block and drive home. I was like, they are athletes. They know what they're doing. I'm going to get hurt. I'm freaked out. And so and it's funny, I talked to Kevin about it today, and spoiler on my podcast, but like, he was like, see, and you presented confident. I would have never known. You just never know. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm like freaking out. And so I didn't go back for 3 years. 2016, I went back. No joke. 3 years.
So what'd you do? So you attempted to start your fitness journey in 2013.
Yeah. And I had already been trying with nutrition. Like, I would say I started trying with nutrition in 2010.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then that was
doing like the fast walk thing, like the walk and nutrition thing, or were you like lifting weights and going to the traditional gym?
Not lifting weights yet. Yeah. It originally started with like walking and running, because typically if you're someone who has like no like fitness background, then like, okay, well, I have access to like the road and I can do that, you know?
That's not what they think. They think they shouldn't lift weights, and that's the truth.
They think they shouldn't lift weights?
Yeah.
Who?
Every single female on the planet that isn't already in the space.
Man.
And that's true. That has to be what you communicate.
I so strongly believe that the narrative is changing so much.
It is, but it's changing in our little tiny circle, which is still less than 1%.
But you've got people like Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, which I understand we're still going back there, but like heavily advocating for like muscle-centric medicine. Like, you need muscle more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the train. I believe, like, I agree with you, but like, I live in the South, all right, and I live.
Yeah, you live in Pensacola.
I do live in Pensacola.
Yeah,
and so I live in the South. And it's not Alabama or Mississippi, but most people there ain't thinking of lifting weights. And the couple that do, they still sort of like, I don't want to get bulky. I'm like, you couldn't get bulky if someone fed you steroids, right? Like,
right.
And we know that. But anyways, I didn't mean to interrupt you. All right, so back to Coda. So started in 2010, started with nutrition, walking, running. Mm-hmm. In 2013, you tried to walk in the door and you bailed. All right, now where are we from there?
Yeah. So then I actually joined like one of the local gyms that was just like more of a bro gym, machines, whatever. And so then I was starting to go do that stuff on my own. And so then I did that for a little while in between that stint. And then in 2016 is whenever I returned to the CrossFit gym and was finally like, okay, I can do this. And don't get me wrong, like, it was 2009, 2010 when I was seeing Annie Thorisdottir on YouTube. That was, I will say, and I actually made a post about this. Do what?
I said, let's go, Annie.
Yes, she was my first introduction to CrossFit. But if we trace it back even before that, you've got like, I remember being in high school and seeing Dana Lynn Bailey. And so she's a muscular female, you know her, right?
Yeah, of course.
And so that was the first one where I was like, because I lived in a rural area. And so people, like, women were not lifting weights where I was. And obesity is a huge problem where, in most places in the United States, and certainly where I'm from. Anyway, so that was my first exposure to that type of stuff. And it was like, so I always thought it was like incredible. Like, that is so cool. Yeah. But it felt so far removed from, I didn't know people doing that. How do you even get involved in anything like that? That's so cool, but it's so far from me. Sure. And so then finally, like, oh, and now there's a gym in my town. And then someone that I know invites me. And then I went, and then I was still scared. So I left for a little while, but then I came back. Yeah.
Okay. And so that gym was Kevin's gym.
Yeah.
Kevin owns Coda Iron View, which is where we're at currently. I know you can't. It's out of the camera.
Oh, well. Is it?
Yeah, it's all right.
You can see the court
so that's where the competition is, Iron Games, right? It's at Coda Iron View in Louisville, which he was part owner in the Coda there.
Yes. He was one of the owners there, and they were there for 3 years of me being a member before they left.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. And then they came here and opened it. And so, so how did the conversation come for you to come here?
This one, I simply have started to like get more.
What number
people
is this?
Inquiring.
Yeah, what number is this?
That's great. I actually was talking to Brian over at Pensacola, or over at Beach Ball, about it. And I was like, hey, just like heads up with where I'm at with it. I don't have like a ton of reps, So I should add them up. We will say this is probably right around number 7 for me.
Cool.
Yeah. Like, and that's probably a pretty accurate number, give or take like 1. I think I've done at least 7.
Okay. And over like what time span?
The first one, I'm trying to remember whether the first emceeing gig I did was in 2022 or 2023. But keep in mind, I had also already by that point done a road show for that brand that I came into the fitness industry to work for, left my previous job, came to the industry to work for that brand. And on that first little endeavor that I did with them as a road show. And so while it wasn't an emceeing gig by any means, I still had to come into 2 to 4 facilities a day and like command the room immediately and do like brand awareness and all of that. So
you want to say what that brand is, or you want to keep that?
Yeah, actually, I mean, I have it's WIT
Okay,
Fitness.
cool.
Yeah,
Alright,
and
so
people who were around in 2021, like they actually like had different nicknames for me of me being like the WIT girl. Like that's
Got
what
it.
I was like known as.
Okay.
And I still, the co-founders, my understanding is they have the company back
Mhm.
and that they are, if you go look, I think it's like 2.0. So I don't know what they're up to necessarily,
Got
but
it.
still great relationships. No, yeah.
Cool. And that's what brought you to Texas, right? From
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So you left Oklahoma when you were 30.
Yeah.
You were working for WIT Fitness already?
Yeah, I had started working events for them in 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the year I got sober.
Got it.
So it was that year that I got sober. And then
Awesome.
I just like my first event for them was at the games. And I simply just like sent multiple emails. I don't talk about this part of it a lot, which is fun. I used to, but it's been far enough removed that I don't as much. I just knew that that was during like post COVID. And so travel overseas was still a struggle. And
Sure.
so I knew that they were a UK based brand in the space. And I was like, I'm going to be there. I'll work. I'm going to be there. I'll work. And then they did wind up bringing me on to work the stand.
Cool.
So.
And is that like a correlation, like the WIT Fitness journey and sobriety, or
those two things were unrelated?
Okay.
But I think
Yeah,
that the cool thing about all of that is I think that different people have different journeys with that. Like alcoholism is a part of my journey.
Sure.
And so I didn't know that because I didn't understand what that was. And then once I finally was told, hey, this is what it is. And I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, I understand now. And so then I got sober, but I had already been in the CrossFit like community for years. And by then I think I at least had my L1.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had already been around. I just had this compartmentalization of life of this is the coping mechanism I've grown up with.
Sure.
And I don't want to, I didn't like that about it, but it was what I knew and it was what I was used to. And I didn't know that life without it was possible.
Right.
So anyway.
Sure.
So there was an overlap there. Cause I think for some people, they just make a decision. They're like, okay, and now I'm just going to be healthy,
Right.
and they just knock off whatever else. And that specific part, there was like a significant overlap. Like there was like compartmentalization of life going on.
Got it.
Anyway.
Okay. Cool.
No correlation between those two things other than that.
All right. And so I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. Okay. And so you worked for WIT and you called them road shows?
Yeah, we did a road show.
What is a road show?
Yeah, it was cool. It was just where we simply like selected different cities and then we just set up all of these different, it was building brand awareness. And so we would come in and run classes and do swag bags and just like have a blast with the community.
Sweet.
So yeah, we called it a road show and we just went into a bunch of different gyms and we're like, hey guys, like happy to be here. Here's some stuff. And we're, hoping to grow within the US.
How big was that team that like was on, or were you guys like in a van? Like, were you guys like legit rode in it? Oh shit. I bet that was sick.
There were three of us.
It was like Sprinter van.
Gosh, I don't even, I'm trying to, I don't want to quote it wrong. What we had, I mean, it was definitely a van.
Like an old school van.
What was that van that we had? Well, because we had my car too. So we had my car and then we had the van. I don't remember what the van was. It wasn't branded or anything like that. The van itself, of course, we had all the stuff in it. Yeah. But there were three of us. And so shout out Gus and Hannah, by the way.
Cool.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Nice.
And they were on the road show with me.
Got it. Gus, is he the one with the mustache?
Yep,
yeah, I remember him from WODprep all the time.
Yeah.
We had to cross paths at some point. But I just remember him.
Yeah.
Just like the mustache.
He's a vibe.
Yeah. Okay. And I remember Gus. And I was like, he doesn't look like a Gus. I feel like I remember thinking that at some point.
Yeah, it's Gustavo.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
and it's he's Brazilian.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he lives in the UK. So whatever.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Hodgepodge. Yeah, it's all over. Cultured.
Yes.
Okay. And so where did you guys start? Where did you finish? Like, what did that road show look like?
The majority of it was done in Texas, and then a little bit was done in Florida. So just those two states, and then different cities.
Gotcha. Where's your favorite? So you dropped in. You did a lot of gyms.
Oh yeah.
There's like I think like 250 gyms in Florida, or there probably was at that point, maybe not anymore. But
yeah, it was a lot. It was disorienting. It was the first time in my life, and I guess only time, that I've lived on the road. I've done that. I did one other thing for like 2 months, but other than that, I lived on the road for months. And so it was like to the point where I was in a different state every handful of days and in a different like place. Right. So it was so fun and so cool to get to do. But yeah, I was like, well, where am I? Right. But that was also like some stuff I was doing before the road show and after. That wasn't just the road show.
Got it.
Yeah.
What did you do for 2 months? Were you like concert chasing?
Oh,
I feel like that was like, you like went, I don't know, like chasing U2 or something like that.
No. I actually just like went and spent a month in Bali.
Nice.
And then whenever I got back, it was during COVID and it had just kicked off. And so my office, whenever I was still working in real estate, was like, yeah, don't come here. And I was like, well, I don't sit at home. And so then I just took off in my car and went through like 9 states all the way up to Montana and back down, and did a ton of national park exploration
Sweet.
by myself.
Nice.
It was
That
so
sounds
fun.
awesome.
Yeah.
One of my athletes lives in Bali right now, and every day she posts like the cost of her food, and I'm like, get the fuck off Instagram.
It's insane.
It's crazy.
You don't. I literally saved money being there.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's what I was gonna say. I was like, all the money you saved in Bali allowed you to not work and like go hang around the national parks. Yeah, it's wild. I'm trying to convince her to come to the States to train in Pensacola, and she's like, it's like literally 30 times more expensive to live.
Yeah. What is she doing over there? I mean, she's an expat.
Training.
What is she doing?
She's
like,
just training.
Okay. She's at Wanderlust.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Icelandic girl, and just trying to do the athlete thing.
Love that for her.
Yeah.
Hey, she is doing fitness underwater damn near. So like I remember the first CrossFit workout I did there.
If you're not used to it,
my confidence with my engine was at an all-time high, and I led the group. And then like 2 of the 6 rounds in, I was literally in front of the fan going, where's the air?
Right. Yeah. There's no air. It's like breathing water.
Just breathing water.
Breathing water. Yeah. That's like Florida. Yeah. It's Gucci and Gus. They know her name is Gudborn. I can't say it's a fucking Icelandic name. Her name's Gucci.
What's her last name? It's something daughter.
Valdi's daughter.
Valdi's daughter.
Daughter. I think it's long. Yeah. She almost made semifinals this year. So you do CrossFit.
I do CrossFit.
Yep. And in an affiliate, we talked about this. You're in an affiliate in Austin.
Yeah. Well, I actually just moved from South Austin to North Austin. And so I have started to do CrossFit in a CrossFit affiliate. Shout out Bar 10.
Cool. And then so you just like go to class.
Yeah.
Class thing. It's so awesome. Isn't it?
Yeah.
I love class.
When I started working in the industry, I had gone to class for so many. I mean, like I'm talking, I guess it was 6.5 years of going to class every day. And then moved and changed everything. And anyway, I hadn't taken classes consistently in a very long time. And so even just this past week to take a bunch of classes and get like feedback on my own movement and so on, it's like,
that's the best.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I love dropping. That's why I love dropping in gyms.
Yeah,
I love it. It's the best. I haven't been coached in so long, but I love it.
You haven't been coached?
No.
Yeah. What's your structure for your fitness look like?
So I have a pretty wild background, and I don't want to make this. So I've had 2 strokes, and you can talk about a backstory to get to where I am. But so anyway, what
ages were you when you had your strokes?
20, and then I had one 2 years ago. No, 1.5 years ago. Was it 24? Yeah, 1.5 years ago.
Okay.
Super long story. We can snuff that out over the weekend or something like that. But yeah. So the first one, I have no deficits. I still don't have any deficits. The first one was very insidious, which is a pretty wild thing to say about a stroke. But I had no deficits, and life went on as normal after a couple of weeks. I had some like weakness on the right side. I went fully flaccid, like I lost speech, and like it was full on stroke. And then I had one after 23.1, but I had a internal carotid dissection bilateral. So like the thing you hear when like people get like cervical manipulations, like if you ever hear like that happens, which is still pretty rare, but anyways, it happened. It was a very minor stroke in and of itself, but I still had like bilateral carotid dissection. So I can't do like high level gymnastics anymore. I can't do handstand push-ups or muscle ups. And
this is because your cervical spine is just a little bit too fragile.
It's just a risk, right? So no, it has nothing to do with the spine.
Okay.
It's just the arteries there, right? So like basically what a dissection is so think of the artery as like just this tube, right? And so a dissection is like the inner lining of the wall, like flaps off and it creates a clot, right? And blocks it. And so that's what happened. So one side was patent, which means that it broke off or it flapped off, but there was no block, and the other side was fully occluded. And so the fully occlusion side is where they saw it. And so like I had weakness in my legs. I got to the hospital, and by the time I got into the hospital, it was all gone. Like all my symptoms were gone. I was asymptomatic. They almost sent me home, and I was like, no, I 100% just had a stroke. Like I was like, I've already had a stroke before. Like I knew all the things to say.
And can you imagine like them receiving you at your age and you're like, I've already had a stroke?
The way that I look, right? Like, I mean, like I'm walking in and I'm, muscular, fit. I'm like, just had a stroke, and they're like, are you on drugs? I'm like, no, which is what they always ask, right?
Well, and the sad reality is they're asking that because that is most likely yes.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so anyways, CT, MRI, they saw it. I had, this carotid dissection. And so the reason why we can't do it anymore is just because the risk is higher. Because the way the artery healed, right? So think of it as like it was a 4-lane highway. when it occluded, it was a 0-lane highway. And then basically the inner lap will absorb back into the wall.
Okay.
Okay. And so when it absorbed, it didn't come back to a 4-lane highway. It came back to a 2-lane highway. Now the arteries are, from a structural standpoint, just as strong. They just don't have as much flow.
Okay.
Makes it like a bottleneck.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So so that restricts certain movements.
Right.
Outside of that, does that restrict your ability? Like, can you hang out in zone 4 or 5 comfortably? I mean, 5, who can be there comfortably, but like, can you hang out there and you're safe as far as heart rate goes?
I mean, yeah, there's no heart rate issues, right?
Okay.
Like the reason probably why it was so limited was because I have such good arterial flow.
Okay.
I'm a super aerobic athlete. And so the guess is it's probably why it was only so minimally affected, or why I was so minimally affected, because it was a pretty huge like injury.
Yeah.
And so but I only felt it minimally, and we're pretty confident that it happened not during the workout, but within the last, like the 4 days prior. But being super hypoxic from the workout is when we actually started to feel the loss of blood flow, like not getting enough, right? So like you have 7 arteries that like supply blood to the brain. And so the internal carotids are the smallest and the right is the smallest. And so the left was fully clear, even though it was dissected, and the right was what was fully occluded. So, so that's the guess, right? We don't know, right? And so the things I avoid are like rapid flexion extension, like super heavy bearing down, so I can't lift to maxes at all, and then like obviously like cervical compression, being upside down. I started handstand walk just a little bit for fun, and that's in like do some wall walks. That's about the only upside down that I'll do.
Okay.
Like I won't do it under like a zone 5. Like I won't like hammer a wall walk or like a handstand walk under zone 5 or anything like that.
When you do because you lift weights, you were hauling all the 70s around all day. What you said, you don't do maxes, so you just don't do like 1 rep maxes. I mean, where do you, are you kind of like, you don't go low, like south of 6 or something like that on your reps?
So like I think I basically when I've lifted, I've gotten up to pretty much 80% of my all-time maxes is like where I'll stop, and that's pretty much like back squat, front squat, deadlift ish, and like snatch, clean, and jerk. So
how do you feel about all of that?
Oh, it sucks. It's terrible. It's a lot better now. Now we're interviewing CJ, by the way. And
sorry,
it was terrible. No, it was a year. It was a really tough year.
Yeah.
And I think the only reason that I was able to cope with it well was because I had my son. My son was already born. He was 4 months when it happened, which was hands down the scariest part of it.
Yeah.
Like without a doubt.
Yeah.
Right. That was the only thing I cared about. And I was like, am I going to die? And all these decisions, right, that like, you know, it's all risk. Am I risk averse or am I risk tolerant? And I'm an extremely risk tolerant person, like money, family, job, gambling, whatever it is, right? Like, and nothing's to a problem. I just like, I have no problem taking risk in any facet of my life. And so now it's like, you don't have a fucking choice, or you're going to put your family at risk. And so that's obviously the one thing that I won't do.
It's very challenging.
Yeah.
As someone who likes to push yourself to have to like go, and now I must like that. I won't pretend to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, where are we going? We were talking about fitness.
Sorry.
Oh, you asked about my journey, or like
yeah,
what
yeah,
I do.
just because you asked about mine. Yeah.
So what do I do? So I love to do class, right? I really enjoy doing class now. It's really fun. I only get to train like 30 minutes a day most times. I'm pretty busy with WODprep, and I take my son to school every day. So like my mornings are busy with him. Even though I kind of just wake him up and go, it's hard to get stuff done because I have to stop and leave. And then they get home at 3. And so I spend time with them, and then I don't work while they're home. So day is pretty packed. So my fitness is really, really limited.
Yeah.
Really limited. Maybe 3 hours a week on average.
Yeah.
Of total fitness.
Yeah.
So,
but it's really cool though. Like, I think that one of the, you know, I always think it's so interesting with my clients online, right? Like we're always just playing this game of, and I say online, all of it, but of like, some of us have the capacity, have the lifestyle to be able to go every single day, right? And you love if you're in a gym that has community, then the community support side of things, so much so that like you'll just potentially like maybe overdo it a little bit, just because you just, those other benefits, they're so worth it, right? But then you'll have seasons of life like the one that you're in, and there are many other versions. I know this past couple of years for me were definitely years where I was so focused on how do I figure it out professionally and make this work, and this 3 times the cost of living of where I was before. Sure. With all of, you know, it was just jarring. And so I had to really cut back a lot of things. And anyway, my fitness looked different over the last couple of years than I was used to. Sure. And it's cool because you don't actually need a ton. Like a little bit does go a long way.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, for
you know,
sure.
if you're intentional with it,
Mhm.
as much as the seasons when you can get after it are great, if you're in a season where you can't get after it like you once could, you can still get really awesome work done in
Oh,
a
yeah.
short period of time.
Yep. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different, you know. So you train more at some point. I assume like when you were back in Norman.
Yeah. And right after, yeah, when I was living in Oklahoma and right after I got sober, I also, by then I mean, I would say my like journey in the CrossFit space, of course, was like coming 3 days a week and then coming 4 days a week and then coming 5 days a week and then coming 6 days a week. And then, you know, like I was living there. And then when I got sober, you have all of this energy that you were putting in certain spaces that you're no longer putting there and you don't know where to put it. And so I got a road bike and I just started cycling a ton. And so I would go cycle with pelotons of hundreds of people every weekend morning. And then I would do some on weeknights. And anyway, so those like that season of life would have been like if we were to total up the hours, because at that time it was, you know, well over 100 miles a week that I was doing that, plus CrossFit 5-6 days a week.
Is that like,
so
is that hard riding? So like 5.5 hours, or is it like more casual, like 7 to 7.5 hours for 100 miles? Like,
if
you're like pushing it like 18 miles an hour.
Yeah, I was to say if you're going straight, no, I typically would go on like 50, 60, 70, maybe as far as 80-mile rides in any given setting. And a lot of them were like 32. So it wasn't necessarily 100 plus in one setting.
Yeah.
And as for that, it was cool because I think whenever I first got started, I was like 15 miles per hour or something. And that was like given it effort.
Yeah.
And then I think by the time that little season of life kind of came to a close and I took off on the road and started doing different things, we had bumped me up. Oh, I don't want to quote it incorrectly. I'd made such significant like progress in my miles per hour, and I'm terrified to say the wrong number right now. But a few miles per hour faster, we definitely like found me stopping bonking and so on, and it started to get
what did you just
a lot
say?
faster. Stopping bonking.
I don't know what that means.
Bonking?
No idea.
Oh, it's like if you're in an endurance sport, like if you're doing something for multiple hours and you don't have sufficient fuel, then you just you bonk.
Okay.
Yeah. So like you wouldn't necessarily see that in CrossFit because like the stress load is so different because typically most of the time the workout time domains are not ones where like intra fuel is super important. Yeah, you work with more CrossFit athletes like for sure, so you could speak to that better. But like, you know, eating things before and after.
They think they do. They're like in a 30-minute session, like I gotta get some carbs. I'm like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
I'm like, shut the fuck up. Not even a little bit.
Right. And then whenever you're whenever you're doing a multi-hour, you know, you're gonna go ride for 5+ hours. Like you need to have appropriate fuel and be throwing it down the hatch on a regular basis, or else you'll just simply slow down and be gassed. And coming back from that takes a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you okay to talk about like your journey and addiction and stuff?
I brought it up like 4 times.
So I've seen this and you can hear about it. Fraser literally put out a video, I don't know, yesterday or whatever, 3 days ago, about like him being sober. Do you feel like the biking and the fitness was like your addiction replacement?
Yeah, I think that so I think most humans have some version of an ism.
Oh yeah.
You know? So in that moment, I actually do you know who Hannah Eden is?
I don't think so.
She's wonderful. She actually kind of is originally from the CrossFit space and has branched out. And anyway, she's a fitness girl in Austin. She's wonderful. Anyway, we went on like a 7-mile run a few months ago for her Ironman training. Anyway, and on that, we recorded a lot of conversation. We talked about this specifically. And for me, at that season of life, like, okay, I pulled away one coping mechanism for life, my substances. And so like now I need another coping mechanism for life. And this is a far better one. And so, yes, the time and energy that I dumped into my fitness that year was a ton. And then it scaled back. And of course, this is a whole other, like I'm healing from living in mold. So I have to accept that my body in the past year has not really felt like home because I am still sick from mold. And so anyway, that's been a whole other mess that we could just go so many different places, but it looks different now. I don't need that tool like I did. I guess the point is like, I still choose to do fitness almost every day in some form or fashion because I love it. But whereas I needed to do it for hours and hours, and what else do? I have a very vibrant and full life, and there's a lot going on, and there are other priorities. My recovery is a big priority to me. My relationships are a big priority to me.
Go Jimmy.
Go Jimmy. You know, there's so many other things now where I didn't have all of those things going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a lot of energy on my hands and I didn't know what to do with
Right.
it. And so it was a decent place to put it.
Yeah.
And then I'm eager to do more training than I've been doing lately.
Oh yeah, 100%. I fuck with that. I'm like in the same exact bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
sure.
I'm so you have, maybe we do relate on that. I've not had strokes and gone through that at all. But as far as like being like, I want to push.
Oh yeah.
So bad. But
yeah, we were talking about it this morning. So I do like a morning show 2 days a week. And I just talk to the screen in the chat and like we just shoot the shit. And we had a guy on that was going through some shoulder stuff. And he felt like the pressure of like getting older and like he's got shoulder pain, but he's like doesn't want to lose muscle ups forever. And I'm like, I was like, dude, I coach 65-year-olds. You're fucking 38. Like it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I was like, we always feel like we like need to do way more just naturally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's always this like weird internal clock that is completely subjective and put on our own selves for no reason, right? Mm-hmm. Like I've coached 65-year-olds at the CrossFit Games that can do muscle ups, right? That like have a six pack, that look insane, right? And so like the clock is just not there, right? Like accept the season you're in or accept the injury, accept whatever's presented with you, like do your job to work through it, be smart about it. Don't let your ego take over or like your self-esteem get too low, right? Or whatever it is, or your worth. I think we were talking about that earlier, like, and or like anxiety, like just it'll come in flows, right? And if you accept the flows, then you'll get through it and you'll be able to train more or whatever, in time, right? Like you'll just go through those pieces of life.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about the masters divisions of CrossFit competitions, actually. Like the older they get, the better, in my opinion. They're
savages.
Yes. And they're doing the craziest stuff. And then if you get the opportunity to like, and you work with them, so you are very familiar, but I love being at events like this and having masters divisions and talking to their families and talking to other people who know them or them themselves and just hearing a little bit more about the adversities on a physical level that they have overcome,
right? Because
you can easily, yet again, just like anybody, you see them who they show, like who they present as today. And like, it's easy to just be like, wow, that guy's so fit, And it's like, oh, and then peel back the layers and discover all of the things that he has had to overcome to be in that state. And he hasn't given up. Yeah. And so if you've got people in their 60s and 70s climbing ropes and doing crazy things, like that is, I'm so grateful to this sport for giving us access to seeing people behave like that. Because it shows me like, we are literally in prime. Maybe you're overcoming something right this minute. Right. But yeah, we're doing fine.
CrossFit has done that in a lot of ways, right? Not to like shift off, but I mean, like Dr. Lyons, like, I mean, CrossFit's like the foundation of like the barbell becoming in everyone's hands, but mainly females. I mean, like Olivia, Maddie Rogers, like all of that started in CrossFit gyms, right? And so like I give everything to this world.
Yeah.
Like I have a doctorate in physical therapy and I coach CrossFit professionally. Like that's what I do. Right. And like, it's given me such a cool life and opportunity to have conversations like this, work with Ben, travel the world.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I like, you can say what you want about HQ or whatever, but like CrossFit has given me everything and I will always be loyal to their stuff. So, it's
I agree.
It's good. Let's see. So you kept tangenting.
Sorry. The last thing that you were asking about was the addiction stuff, and then I just kind of derailed you. I don't know if you want to hang out there.
Clock knows. So Clock was I don't know, some troll in there, but he's good. Bonking, sheesh, that takes hours of work. No CrossFit athlete has ever come close to bonking. He knows. He knows. They know. I don't know. We don't know if Clock's a girl or a guy. It's just just a name. Just a name that's in the chat, right? That'll call you out for sure. So your journey obviously is you've been sober since 2021.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And so what did that look like prior to sobriety? Right. Because you're obviously doing very well in life, like overall from a like financial perspective and growing. I mean, like, you seem healthy in general. Right. So how did you come to realize that like it was something that needed to be solved? Was it ruining portions of your life or relationships, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. I mean, it started whenever I was 13. So it started young.
Sure.
And the first time I ever drank, I blacked out. Like I liked it. It aligned perfectly.
It's usually how it works.
Yeah. It aligned perfectly at a time in my life whenever, coming through puberty, whatever, all of a sudden, like it gave me this, I was fun. Like I was so well liked whenever there was alcohol involved, you know? And as like, I mean, we all want to be loved. And so that just kind of perfectly aligned for a solid storm there. And anyway, so it was part of my life for 15 years. And then as the years went on, it just became, you know, it went from just fun to fun with consequences to just consequences. And so by the end of all of that, I had already been trying to control my drinking for years. And I was either controlling it or enjoying it. I was never simultaneously doing both.
Okay.
And so there were seasons where it was more light. There were seasons where it was not. Anyway, it was just something I was not proud of. And I was just trying to compartmentalize it. I don't know. I didn't understand what it was. So then in 2021, February of 2021, my grandmother passed away and she had a big, big involvement in my childhood. And so her passing was very jarring. And so that just took me down a more hasty path where I was already doing all sorts of like just escaping my reality as best as I could. But then when that happened, I was like, I'm not dealing with grief. I'm opting out. So the next 2 months after her passing were just pretty yucky. And then by the end of that 2 months, a specific traumatic event occurred. And what I just finally realized it was awful, but I was publicly humiliated, and that was a piece of it. And I own my action. I got myself in that room. I got myself there. So like I'm taking all ownership of that. But the reason I point out the public humiliation detail of it is because that seemed to be a sufficient motivator for me to be so fearful, because I had already had other stuff happen in life that was like, okay, this is not good. This is not who you are. This cannot happen again. That's scary. You know, I mean, even something like driving, I mean, that's scary. So anyway, the right thing occurred and had enough humiliation attached to it. And I just looked at my life and was just to a point where it was like, I'm not upkeeping my continuing education. I'm not taking care of my finances like I should be at all. My relationships with my family are suffering from this. I, by then, had sworn off of romantic relationships because I was such a dumpster fire and I knew it, you know? And so it was just a devolving life.
What a thing to understand. What a thing to say about yourself.
I at that stage of my life, which that is so sad, but I was like, I'm not a person who's going to attract like a partner for life at this stage of my life.
It's understandable.
So I'm good. And then, anyway, yeah. So that thing occurred, and then I started to seek help. So once I could finally say like, hey, friends that I know that have gotten sober, I need help. And then they, of course, pointed me in the right directions, got me the right support system. And I always like to say, to just kind of round out that little tidbit, that if anybody who is listening to this needs resources for their own journey, that I am reachable on social media, and you can DM me, and I'm more than happy to send you resources. And if it's for yourself or for people that you love. So I can't say that I have all of the answers by any means, but I'm more than happy to share the things that I know of that have helped loads of people and certainly saved my life.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's
anyway.
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool.
And so, do you feel like if you weren't sober, would you have still taken the same path? You said you were already in fitness. You were already doing the WIT thing.
No.
Oh, you weren't doing the WIT thing?
No. That happened like right after. Yeah. So I was already like attending a CrossFit gym for many years. I was already in love with it. I already had my L1 just out of curiosity. But I was not working in the industry at all. And so it wasn't until after I got sober that then I kind of became a person that would become like worth employing in this space. And so then I did receive a few different job offers. I shouldn't say a few. There's two that come to mind in particular. I guess a few. It was a few. Anyway, and then that was the right one.
It's 3 by definition.
Yeah. That technically gets to 3. We're in a few. Anyway, so that is what sent me over the edge into working in the industry. But I didn't want to be a coach.
Didn't want to be a coach.
Didn't want to be a coach.
All right.
Nope.
But you are a coach.
I'm a coach. And I love doing it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a roundabout way for sure. So, okay, so you're a coach.
Yeah.
You have the online app. You have the app, and the app is called Wellness with Claire.
I know.
Sick.
I know.
Very, very
it's
clever.
actually like really good. It looks great. The fact that it's like conversations with Claire and Wellness with Claire. I'm like, oh my God, what was my job? What was I doing branding?
Now the question is
like
what's
whatever.
the LLC? Is like everything under the umbrella of Claire? Yeah. Like Claire,
It's
like it's just like Claire.
It's Wellness with Claire.
That's the LLC. I like it. Well, when you monetize conversations with Claire, it might need its own entity.
Yeah.
You need like,
I need to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So you're excited about the weekend?
I'm stoked about
Swing
it.
it back.
How do you feel about the weekend? And we talked about other things earlier, like fitness on the internet versus fitness. I don't know, whatever. I don't know if there's any of those areas that you want to go to. I don't know. We feel like we touched on a bunch of different things. We're like, oh, we should talk about that.
Yeah.
But
I'm excited. It's the first competition I've ever planned. I've like helped run beach brawl like in very low capacities, right? Like help break up, like set up, break down, things like that. But I've never been on the inside of it, and like watching Kevin and being on the backside of a competition and like writing the programming was a different beast for sure.
You wrote the programming.
Yep.
Awesome. I reviewed it all today.
Yeah.
I liked it. My favorite one was I'm going to nickname it like sandbag bunny foo-foo or something bunny foo-foo. I don't know.
Well,
because it's the box jump over followed by
yeah.
the burpee over and then the sandbag. And it's like, just like,
I got a good story about that one.
You should be hopping around.
Yeah, it's a lot of hopping. So we tested it in July a while ago. And so I tested it. We tested it as a 12-minute AMRAP first. And so with the 150 bag, I had just got back from a vacation. We went to the beach, went to Pensacola Beach. Actually, we did a beach house for Blue Angels. If you can ever go to Blue Angels, go.
You're talking about the
fighter pilots. Yeah,
they were supposed to fly over, I thought, on that Sunday.
I don't think they were. Oh yeah, what time did you guys finish?
We waited till they were supposed to be there.
Yeah, sometimes they get delayed. Yeah. Anyways, so they do their beach show. So we get a beach house for the weekend with the fam, and it's great. But I got COVID.
Okay.
I got super sick. Well, I didn't know it was COVID then, and I like lost my voice. I was sweating profusely at like 7 a.m. It's like 80 degrees outside. I'm just drenched. It's like, what is happening? And so I proceeded to have like a headache for like 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, this is definitely COVID. It was not a cold or whatever. And I did this. I wrote this workout, and I wanted to test it, and we did it on our podcast against the other hosts, John Young, and Travis Bro. And so I got crushed. Travis beat me. He almost doubled my score in 12 minutes. I did like 5 burpees, and I was just like sitting on the box.
This specific workout?
The same workout.
Oh, great.
And I was like, I just couldn't move. I was like, what the fuck is happening? And I'm not good with the heavy sandbag by any means, but I was like, I would do 5 burpees, and I would have to like step back and like kneel. And that's like never me as an athlete. And I just did redemption. I just like redeemed myself in the workout, and I got 7+ rounds, but I had gotten 5 when I did it the first time. So I was able to actually like put up a score. Like I would have finished it because it's 6 rounds for time.
I was gonna say 6 rounds for time.
Right. And 12-minute cap. And so it was nice to like redeem my man card because I got shit beat out of me.
That's when I actually like won't be surprised if I go home and test. Like there's usually from a competition at least one that I'll go play with, and that's probably that. I mean, we'll see. I'll watch what all happens, and I'll make that decision.
What's your like CrossFit superpower? What's your like if you had to choose, like you could say a favorite movement, like what are you really good at?
I think what I'm probably best at is literally just putting my head down and focusing on the next thing directly in front of me indefinitely. Like I have I've run like 8 High Rocks races.
Oh, nice.
So saying that to say the whole like long, like I don't really care. Like however long it is, I don't really care.
Yeah.
So a specific movement, I know that for me, gymnastics is the area on rig specifically that I have like the most room for growth personally. That's like my glaring need to get better at. But
what a positive way to spin that. Most people, when I ask that question, are like, I fucking suck at bar muscle ups. Like that's what they say. Or they're like, I crush the bike. Like, but I'm terrible at bar muscle ups. That's you definitely do a lot of like mindset talking just by how like you presented that specifically.
Yeah. Dixie's in here. She said, you're a great coach, Dixie. I love you. And Dixie's been with me for a while. Cool. Anyway, yeah, no, I don't a lot. Like we don't speak like that. Yeah, we're not talking like that. I'm not bad at anything. Like I maybe have like a non-dominant thing or something, but like I'm not bad at anything.
What a great mindset coach phrasing way to speak. I love it. That's good.
I got a lot of it to offer.
That's good.
But either way, I don't know this. I mean, I think I sufficiently covered the strengths. I don't know. I almost wish that someone else would be here. I remember during the open workouts with the wall walks, especially when they first came out, like it was really funny. I was still in an affiliate all the time at that time. And that workout came out. And then come Monday, I'm like warming up for the class workout, or maybe I just did the class workout. I don't know. And one of the team members, because they were sending a team to semis, and they came over and they were like, hey, we need you to redo that do the best that you can, because we're gonna have to use your score. And I'm like, huh?
Right.
I'm me. But then anyway, so that would be one that, and those, I think that was like a 99th percentile finish or something that year. And so that would be like
a fit. That's a tough workout. The first one, the wall walk double under.
The 2 years in a row that it was the whatever wall walk variation. Yes, that one. Yeah, the wall walk double under, and then whatever the one was the next year, I think it was like wall walk snatch box jump over. Yeah, that was also a really good one. So anyway, random. The other, my grip strength is good. So that's another one where it's like, cool. That's, like ring muscle ups are like really pretty. Snatches are beautiful. And I love doing that. And those would probably be okay. Right. But instead I can just hold stuff for a while.
I saw you overhead squat a dude. Is that like on your Instagram? I was perusing it today, and I was like, I don't know if I'm more impressed that you actually overhead squatted, but that he didn't die.
Yeah. He's like a human cat. Yeah, like he literally is he just will land on his feet.
Okay, is he like in?
He's an acrobat.
Okay, yeah, that's what I figured. Because like he was going down at the end of that video.
Did you see the one where he just like jumped on my back? Like he just ran up and jumped on my back.
Oh,
and then
full sitting on your shoulders.
Yeah, so I was just like in a hunched over position with my hands on my knees, and I'm like not quite parallel to the ground, but at a slight angle anyway. And he just runs up and jumps and lands on my back, and then I lunged him in that one. So that one I did some like single leg work.
Nice.
But anyway,
lunge is less impressive. I'll be honest.
Is it? I guess you're probably right.
No,
you're right. Yeah. I was like more. I thought that actually, I think the lunge was harder.
Yeah.
So therefore, because my like overhead position is stable and so on. So that to me, because I've done it with like, he's an acrobat that comes to visit relatively often. Shout out Travis. And anyway, yeah. So we've done that one before.
Got it.
Whereas the lunge is like, have enough single leg strength to like, single leg a human on top of you.
That's funny.
Yeah. Standing on you.
So you're taller as like a female athlete.
Yes.
So you being good at wall walk says that like, I mean, you probably have some really good fitness.
Oh, and these limbs are so long. Like not only am I tall, but my wingspan is longer than I am tall. Wingspan's long. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know.
So what's next?
Okay, wait. What are your favorite things? What's your wheelhouse?
What? Pain.
Not 1 rep maxes.
Pain.
Okay, same.
Pain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make it hurt.
Settle in and suffer. Yep.
A lot of suffering. Machines. I'm pretty good at machines for like a smaller guy. I'm not a very big athlete, and so, but I hold my own on machines, double unders, burpees, things like that. High volume, super high volume hinging. My back never.
High volume hinging. That's a really cool skill to have.
Yeah, it's one that like it's much more rare than I anticipated because it doesn't look pretty. Like I don't have like a super like brace position, which I think is why I can tolerate it. Because like I'm very comfortable with like a little bit of lumbar flexion, and so the back is never like over contracted. Yeah, that's what I try and teach a lot of athletes, and they just don't believe me.
Yeah, isn't it really cool that like if you build a resilient back, that like it doesn't?
Oh my, this is like another 2-hour conversation about resilience and pain and injury prevention and things like that. But yes, for sure.
I'm just saying we have old ideas and we got new ideas.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, resilience and tolerance. That was a whole podcast this morning of like what is pain and what is injury, and it's just tolerance over everything, right? Like we all have herniated discs, we have torn labrums, and we have everything, and it's you can build resilience to anything.
Oh my gosh, bodies are so capable, for sure. Yeah, and I mean, I will plug him as well. Jimmy, my boyfriend, has overcome some pretty crazy injuries, and he has worked with some really, really high level athletes in a few different sports to overcome some huge adversity. He's quite impressive. Like you should check him out afterwards. He's quite impressive. I look up to him so much as a coach, and I've learned so much from him, and he has taught me a lot about a lot of different things, and certainly like that resilience through the spine and taking it through different ranges.
Yeah, all the range.
Anyway,
all of it. Yeah,
right.
Flat back is not the way.
Yeah,
for sure. I try and convince everyone. No one listens to me. It's fine. Let's see. What else? You got anything else? We'll probably talk about something else. What time is it?
Well,
for an hour.
Yeah, we talked about earlier. We talked about the whole pain-free performance thing, and you.
Oh yeah, that's
right. There was that. I don't know if you want to go there, but we talked about that.
Sure. So what is pain-free performance?
Yeah. So that is. And
that's right. You didn't bring that up. That's the other thing you do. Like part of your coaching is like a pain, like a recovery, like a rehab journey.
Yeah, I do wind up working with people after they've been injured.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you're not a PT. Should I sue you? Should I like take you to court right now?
good luck.
I know it's the worst. PTs can't lobby worth shit.
Don't get me wrong. No, so my chiropractor, in my opinion, behaves like a PT.
Yeah.
And
if you practice science, you practice rehab, chiropractic care, occupational therapy, physical therapy, athletic training, coaches that just have more knowledge and like want to address it, right? Like rehab is not coined, it's not licensed, it's not protected in any fashion whatsoever, right? Physical therapy is the only term that's protected. Chiropractic care is the only term that's protected. And you can't, like do high velocity manipulation, right? Other than that, it's not a protected thing, right? If you just read science and like rehab is simple. Rehab is wildly simple. Pain, amazingly complex, right? I mean, beyond all of our even like what we know, right? Everyone can practice rehab. Like, I think I'm very on board with everyone can practice rehab as long as you're not spitting bullshit.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So.
Hopefully not. Yeah. Well, and I've always thought that it's absolutely insane to me that someone like you goes to school for 8 years.
So long.
8 years?
7. I mean, it's technically 7, but it took me 8. Yeah. Because I decided like the day I was walking across the stage to go to PT school, which means I still needed like 7 classes.
A lot. Yeah. And so
terrible decision.
You spend that much money and time to be able to, work with people with bands and balls and so on. And now it's progressed far, beyond that. But for a long time,
it only has in our world. It is still majority of that.
Right. And yet I can go take a really simple certification as a personal trainer, and then I can go put a barbell on your back and ask you to max load squat that thing or whatever, like that to me is just like, wait, what? That's crazy. But anyway, I don't know. So the pain-free performance specialist certification is simply a certification that I've taken a couple of different times because I really enjoyed what they offered in that. And so it's outside of the CrossFit umbrella, but it is really, really good. And the first time I took it, it was from a physical therapist, Justin Farnsworth. Do you know his name by chance?
Is there another physical therapist that's in it?
Yes.
Who else is
right off the top of my head? It would be the founder, I believe. And I'm not in this very moment. I feel terrible. I don't know. Yeah, look.
We'll look it up.
Yeah. And then the second time I was taught it by a different guy, and that was also really good. But either way, that education for a personal trainer, and I'm not speaking for their thing whatsoever. I'm just saying from my experience, but I found it wildly helpful. We spent an entire day there's a 2-day course. The first day was entirely dedicated to just learning how to properly warm up. And so it was so insightful, educational. Like there's so much that I took away from that I have been able to implement with my clients.
What is that? I'm going to dig into that. So what does that look like?
Well, I don't want to tell too much about their methodology.
Sure.
So I'm happy to tell you, but I also don't want to overspeak and I want people to, I don't know. I don't know how much of that I will tell you. I don't know how much of that I want to say on air because I don't know what they
proprietary.
Does that make sense? Yeah. I just simply haven't looked into that.
Sure.
So I want to be respectful to that.
So if you had,
but I will say it's excellent. It's not anything it's actually quite simple.
Yeah. It should be simple.
It's quite simple. They make that very clear. It's really good. I think, and hopefully we'll dive into it more later. I'm sorry. And I think you'll probably be happy about it.
Cool.
I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Trish is a big troll, but all tens of people are watching. There's 14 watching right now.
Oh, hey.
So, Trish will come in and she'll make sure that.
Yeah. I know Trish from Savon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same Trish. Trish is the best.
That's fine. We love a good personality.
All tens of people. So, okay. So they taught you how to warm up in a whole day.
Yes. But I'm telling you, it really if you think about it, a lot of personal trainers don't get a lot of hands-on experience with a lot of them can just take those certifications online and so on. So really, I found the hands-on experience. I learned a ton and both times I took it, I learned very different things. And then the second day is focused on other things entirely. But it was really, really good. Yeah. And I feel like I'm almost doing a cop out of not wanting to say too much online, but I just want to be, I want to be mindful of.
Yeah. You like them.
Yeah. Go to they have an Instagram account, Pain-Free Training, and go to it and inquire further. I actually think it's a worthwhile thing for somebody in the CrossFit space, somebody not in the CrossFit. I think it's a worthwhile thing. Awesome. Even if you plan on never coaching, just learning more about how this thing works. I think they're doing good work over there.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
And so, all right. And And do you feel with this knowledge that you can do what a PT does or what a chiropractor does?
That's a great question. I'm inclined to say no, purely because I don't have those letters attached to my name. I don't have that specific education attached to my name. Now, if I have a client who is coming back from an injury, am I going to work with them on their fitness programming and how they can like still move their body intentionally daily and how we can I definitely work with people post injury
Right.
on what they have access to.
Sure.
And then hopefully they're also working with a PT or something like that.
Sure.
And then I just correspond with them. Like at one of the gyms I work at on it, we have a PT on site.
Yeah.
And so that allows, and like a chiropractor as well. So we all get to kind of like coordinate together
Gotcha.
with people's game plan.
Mhm.
And so I like to verify with whoever their practitioner at that level is that what we're up to makes sense. And it's also just really fun to compare what my already game plan was with whatever they're saying and see if it aligns. But I definitely don't want to like overstep there and think that that's appropriate.
Sure. So what's your most common like injury? Like what do you see the most? Like what's your avatar?
Oh, acute injury. You've got people with nagging shoulder things regularly, but honestly, I mean, like right now, what I can think of is I had one with an ankle surgery within the last year, another one that broke a bone in her foot, another one that's had a hip replacement.
And then are these like post, like they're out of PT already and
some, but not all.
Some, but not all.
Mm-hmm.
And
if not all, then those PTs and I are having close conversation.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so yours is not so much rehab, but like applying fitness during their time of limitation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like there's still humans that want access to movement,
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, we got to like be respectful to the healing process. And so I'm not under the illusion. I don't want to try to pitch that I understand all of that,
Sure.
but
it's not that hard.
I want to work with those practitioners to like help those people get access to as much as possible while also letting whatever the thing is heal appropriately and not aggravating it.
Cool.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah. I trust working together. I like teamwork.
Yeah.
That's
good.
What do you think about all that? As a personal or as a physical therapist, tell me your feedback on that.
Said it. You almost called me a personal
I'm
trainer.
sorry.
That's
whatever.
I'm a glorified personal trainer. That's what everyone calls me. That's what everyone's called me since like the day I got out of PT school because I refused to put my hands on people. I hated manual therapy. Thought it was dumb. And I still think it's dumb and I can prove that it's dumb. And so basically like in 2016, the narrative was if you're not putting your hands on people, or you're not doing like joint manipulations or mobs, et cetera, then you're just a glorified personal trainer. And I was like, well, maybe that's what I am. And so, so
even with all that education, you still got called that.
Oh, all the PTs do. If you're a PT, that's not, it's kind of like moved away from it some. And so, and I still choose not to. There definitely is some benefit, right? Like some people are just like so guarded and so hot. Trish knows you can't manipulate fascia. She's right. Trish is the best. She knows everyone, man, my chat is way smarter than me. Like they know everything I know, and then they know everything I don't know. And it's amazing. I love it. And so Trish knows.
Thank you for listening to that. By the way, she listened to the episode that I did with Connor. He's a CrossFit level 4, the one that owns that gym that I've been dropping in at.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Anyway.
And so my approach is diagnostics are overplayed and they're just a way for us to tell someone they need us. Someone has pain, they just have pain.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like digging into diagnostic measures where the research just pushes away from our ability to actually assess injury. MRIs are just a picture. They don't actually show what's injured, right? Like what if that's been there forever, but your pain's only been there for 3 weeks, right? Like unless it's trauma, like your ability to diagnose is just, it doesn't matter. Right. So someone has shoulder pain, pressing overhead or snatching or whatever. We just modify training around it. Greg Lehman is a great PT, chiropractor, athletic trainer out of Canada, like a huge research guy. And he breaks it down really simple. You got to calm shit down and then you got to build shit back up. And that's it. And it's not from like a weakness point. It's just from a tolerance point. And that's what I try and get everyone. I'm like, if you're in front of me, I've worked with 1,000 people that are 100 times weaker than you. And that's not even exaggeration. Like I've been in nursing homes where people like, oh, my glutes don't work or whatever they say in the fitness space. But like I've seen like people in the wheelchair that like we have to strap them upright because they can't sit up. Like they have to be strapped upright.
Sure.
Because they have like, that's what no core strength looks like. This person is
right.
Post stroke and they can't fire it. Like you want to know what happens when your glutes don't fire, you don't get off the ground. Right. People just say some dumb shit in the fitness world. And so it's all about movement, modify. That's it. Modify, let the body do its job. Base your assessments on tolerance. A little bit of pain is fine. A lot of pain, probably avoid, right? Stress is everything. Stress is good until it's bad, right? How do muscles get bigger and stronger? You yank on them, you break them apart, then they rest and you recover and you sleep and you eat and you drink water and then they rebuild, right? Well, what happens when you pull on a muscle too much? It tears and you get injured, right? What happens if you don't pull on a muscle enough? Nothing happens and you get weaker, right? What happens when you compress a bone? The bone gets stronger. What happens when you compress it too much? It breaks, right? So stress is everything until it's bad, right? Stress is good until it's bad and there's a window. And so you work within the window, right? And you just, you start small, isometrics, like just all general rehab.
Sure.
And you just build from there, right? I do the same thing that you do.
Yeah.
I just have fancy letters after my name.
Yeah.
Right. And then I don't call a PT to help. I just do it all.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah. And that's what we've done since day one of Movement Doctor and into WODprep was remote rehab, right? Like I hated seeing people 3 times a week in person that are CrossFitters that I don't have to babysit.
Right. That will do their things.
And so I know they're going to do it. So, but I want to control their training because I don't trust them at all because they're dum-dums and they're going to make bad decisions because they're going to be like, oh, I feel great today. Like, oh, I can squat pain free. And then they're going to do Karen. I'm like, no. Intensity is totally different, right?
Yeah.
It's the X variable when it comes to rehab. CrossFit has that. None of the other sports have, right? Well, none of the other like barbell sports, like weightlifting and powerlifting, they're all very linear, right? If 70% doesn't feel great, you're not going to just go to 90%. But if 70% feels good, you probably won't make the big jump either. Like it's very linear. But when you add intensity and fatigue, like you have in CrossFit to Fran or burpees or whatever they are, right? It just is a whole nother player that there's so much nuance in there. And so it makes it tough. So instead I was just like, I'm just going to program for people. And then we just integrate rehab and training into one offer. So anyone listening, we offer one-on-one coaching here at WODprep.
Heck yeah.
And that's what it is. So Tris asked, how do you set expectations with a client who wants to rush the process? I'll let you answer that one. I think she was asking me, but I'll let you answer it. That's probably going for you.
Yeah. I mean, we both can. I mean, from the jump, like I just simply, if you want really, really fast, whatever, we do know what we can roughly expect from a newbie as far as what they can gain and lose on a muscle to fat, whatever. Like we've got some data to work with and it's not absolute, but it's a good starting place. So like setting realistic expectations, you can just call that stuff in and go like, okay, well, here's what we can realistically expect if we do these things. And then I'm not a coach who has a bunch of interest in, I mean, when I think of unrealistic expectations, what I think of often is like a body composition thing. So maybe I should make sure that we're talking about the same thing. Because if you're thinking unrealistic expectations with their ability to perform, like performance based, then at higher levels, like that is not necessarily the demographic that I work with the most. Like, yes, I have to calm some people down first, like we do in training, have to talk about like what's appropriate there too. But I think what I spend more time on is more of like expectations on a body composition standpoint or something like that. And with those, like we do have information we can just bring to the table. And I'm not going to I'm not interested in putting somebody in a situation that's going to be detrimental down the road. I'd rather them gradually progress and be able to enjoy the experience along the way. So if they want to work with me, then that's the route that we're going to go. And if that's not what they're interested in, it's okay. But I'm probably not their coach.
That's fair.
Yeah. What do you think?
So I think like you have to, PT is sales, right? Personal training is sales. It's all sales, right? Because if you create buy-in from your client in front of you, then whatever you do is probably going to work, right? Buy-in creates positive outcomes, right? If they believe in what you're saying, they're going to have better outcomes than if they don't, right?
Outcomes with their own physical ability or outcomes. Well, they've got that worthiness thing comes in because they can buy into you and think that you're a great coach and pay you money.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that their ability to adhere is going to be sufficient right that minute because we got to work on some other stuff.
Sure. That's a demographic thing, right?
Yeah.
That's a demographic that doesn't come across my table.
Okay.
Right. So, But either way, it does start with that. Like that person still does have to believe in you. Right?
Yes.
That's a starting process, even before they have to believe in themselves, because you're going to help them change their mindset about their worthiness.
Yeah. And they're borrowing your belief in whatever it is. Totally.
And so, and so Trish is asking specifically to injury. And so, so I read the patient of like what they are, man, woman, age, job, like where they are in life, what their training has looked like prior, where they want to get to, et cetera. And so with all of those variables, right, I go into a couple categories. Like I go into a fear monger, which isn't great, but sometimes that's what they need. Like I need to scare them like, hey, you are going to get re-injured. Cause I already if they've done it multiple times, right, they've been through this road again and again and again, or the guy that I had on this morning, he's got a shoulder thing. He thinks it sounds like a labral tear. And he hasn't done a muscle up in 8 months. And today he strung together 4. And I was like, that was a really dumb idea. I was like, that's a terrible idea. He's like, why? The odds of you being able to do that successfully over time are really low, right? Like you're skipping a lot of steps, right? And so sometimes people have to be, more direct. But most of the time, I try not to set timetables at all because I don't think it's fair. Like, especially with injury, depending on how long they've been injured, if they're coming with something that's persisting, right? Or chronic is a term I just try not to use. Like if it's persisting, I'm like, you can just assume that it's probably going to be a long time. Right. Like this is, it's going to take a while. And then also setting expectations of like what a positive response is also really important, right? Because like pain-free is the worst expectation ever, right? Because that's not fair, right? It's how are you tolerating activities, right? Like, yes, so we're 3 months in, pain is the same. Like, well, you were walking your dog with pain before, but now we're running a 5K. Yes, you still have the same pain, but let's assess like where that pain is the same at, right? And so basically like trying to lay out like what is good and like what is, I guess, realistic. And I just try to avoid like really digging into people who want to rush. I just try everyone like we're just not going to rush. Like it's just not going to be the case, right? And I try and set that right from the start, especially if it's surgery, right? And if you're coming back from surgery, I'm like, you have these like minimums of like tissue healing requirements, right? 8, 12, 16 weeks, whatever it is. And I'm like, that's just so you can be functional day to day. Like that has nothing to do with CrossFit at this point. We'll use CrossFit. We'll use CrossFit to push the needle, but like there's a big step, 20 steps, 100 steps from like finishing like your normal rehab time to like competing in the sport of CrossFit, right? So I try and lay that out there as pragmatically as I can to the person. Clock asked a good question. When's the preview for Iron Games happening? Yeah, I don't know. I think we talked about it a little bit and then it kind of just diverted. I changed the title in case that helps. I just changed it to Claire Bays instead of like
Iron
that's
Games funny. Okay, so that's what it said originally.
Yeah, it said Iron Games preview.
That's funny. And with that too, the whole like expectation thing, another thing that comes to my mind, of course, like with any of it is these other factors that can easily be overlooked or not optimized would be one, are they doing something like peptides, right? Because or stem cells or something like that's going to have an impact on their healing journey, right? But then from there, like, what is their sleep like? Are they intaking alcohol? Are they eating, inflammatory foods? Like all of those things are going to play into that healing journey. Once you get past those, like you said, those tissue healing from surgery stuff, like then it becomes, what are those other factors? What is your stress load? What is your environmental stress? What is your
do you use the term allostatic load?
I don't use it regularly with others, but I know what you're referring to.
Yeah,
yes,
it's all that stuff. Like all those other things, right? Like the cup is full, if the cup is less.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, I was talking with Kevin about that today. He's like, man, I'm really hurting. I'm like, yeah, it's called allostatic load. Right. And I think that has like a big play with like aging. People like, oh, with age, things slow down, et cetera, et cetera. And we have some information. I think that information is starting to change. Those percentages are dropping, but I think the stress levels and just how people take care of themselves and their general allostatic load is just higher. Family, money concerns, job concerns, retirement, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Should we talk about CODA Iron Games?
Yeah. What do you, where are we going? You tell me.
Let's see. So events 1, 2, and 3 for individuals.
And 3 and 4 are one event. So 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right. So event 1 team is 25 wall walks, drag rope double or burpees, synchro burpees, drag rope double unders, synchro burpees, drag rope double unders, synchro burpees, max handstand push-ups with remaining time.
Mhm.
And so what do you think about that workout?
That one, I liked it. I mean, I think I'm thinking of you're talking about the team one, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. No, I liked it. I definitely, let's see here. Yeah, it's just going to tire them out. I mean, I don't really know what else to say. I mean, I like the idea that I think with the wall walks, you can kind of split those up among people as you see fit.
Yeah.
But then the burpees are synchro.
It's a lot of them, 75. It's a good little chunk.
Yeah, right. And it's 25 per time and all athletes are doing them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're all out of breath no matter what. And then,
Right.
and then whoever's going to be able to recover / do the next movement the best is going to be the next one up to bat. So I don't know. I like it.
It's gonna be a good one. Definitely not my favorite of the weekend.
Yeah.
And individual event one is one I'm like, it's one that I would love, but it's one I can't do. I can do pretty much all the other ones in the competition, but I can't do this one because I can't do handstands. So I'm really sad I didn't get to test this one. So it's 3 rounds, 15 cal bike, 40 drag rope double unders, 25 kipping handstand push-ups, then bike, drag rope, strict bike, drag rope, max handstand walk with remaining time. And this one's a really, really tight time cap. So it's going to be, if anyone finishes, some will finish, but it's not going to be a ton. And that's kind of the goal of it. Like, or finishes. If anyone gets more than like 20 or 40 feet on the handstand walk, because it's an AMRAP. But I think a lot of people are going to get stuck right before the handstand walk. So anyone getting the handstand walk is fucking fit.
Yeah.
They're super fit.
Yeah. And you've got the calories on the bike different from men to women, but the standards for the kipping and strict handstand push-up does not change from men to women.
Right. So RX is using the normal 30 inch. And then scaled has wall walks, and then it's an AMRAP wall walks for scaled. And then event 2 is the sandbag for the individuals. It's the 6 rounds, 12 box jump overs, 8 burpees over the sandbag, and 4 sandbag cleans at 150. So
for the men and 100 for the women.
Yep. Get these pulled up here so I can actually remember them.
That one looks like the most fun to me. But that's like a bias based on how I would perform looking at it at a glance.
Are you good at sandbag work?
I think I'm fine at it. I think that the other stuff is the bulk of it.
Gotcha.
Because that's just 4 per round, which is not nothing. And at that load, it's not nothing. But ultimately, you got 6 times 4. It's what, 24 if I can do math right, of that 100-pound sandbag. I mean, the bulk of the work is you're just bunny foo-fooing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the burpees actually take the longest.
Yeah.
Like if you're even moderate at the sandbag, the burpees are going to take the longest of that whole workout.
Yeah. I mean, that box jump over. Like I love a good box jump over, but that much volume of all of that back to back to back to back. I'm slowing down for sure.
All right. So that's event 2. We'll go to event 3. 3 and 4 is the lift. So it is 5 minutes to find a max clean and jerk for individuals. And then we call it Iron Gauntlet at the 7-minute mark. 4-time, 10 power snatch, 10 clean and jerk, 10 thrusters. Super dynamic, very electric, really exciting. I hope someone tries to
go unbroken,
take the power snatch, take it to a front rack clean and adjust the hands on the way down. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, that'll be wild.
That'll be sick.
I wouldn't be surprised if that does get tried. And I was looking at it thinking exactly that, as I'm like, how many people are hanging on to it after they get through that clean and jerk? Because the loading, I think in RX, you got 135/95. So you've got it loaded as such that it's definitely possible for people to potentially hold on to it.
Yep. And then that's individuals. So just going over all the individuals. And then tomorrow or Sunday, we have the trail run into a sled push. So the trail run is a 1.5-mile run. And the sled push is roughly 40 feet down and back for 3 sets of a lighter load, and then 80 feet down and back once at a heavier load, or it's twice at 40, once at 80. And it's heavy. And it's going to hurt off of that run. That trail run is going to be rough. And then there's a short break, 16 minutes, and then it's a sled sprint. And that sled sprint, you got to change your own weight and turn it around. It's going to hurt.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt bad.
Yeah.
And then you're not going to the offsite, right? No. Okay. So we'll be here. And then it's just one event. Event 7, I think will be the most fun event to call and watch. 600-meter ski, 20-bar muscle ups, 80-foot dumbbell front rack walking lunge at 70s and 50s.
Yep.
Spicy.
Yep.
Super spicy.
I like it.
I hope someone tries to go unbroken. That's the goal. That's what.
Gosh, yeah, that's a big chunk of gymnastics.
Big chunk. After the ski too, the bar muscle ups are going to get really, really tough.
Yeah, and the final event of the workout or of the weekend too.
And team standards. All right, so team, we went over team workout 1. Workout 2 is the most complicated workout of the weekend. 1 station, 80 reps, synchro toe to bar, chunk of ski calories, 60, 45, 80 reps, chest to bar split, not synchro, 60, 45 cal row, and then 40 bar muscle up split, and then 60 bike. So you have to do both the gymnastics and the machine at the same time, and finish before you can go on to the next station. So a lot of strategy here, a lot of teamwork, communication, timing, right? There's like all the factors of teamwork that come into play besides just a worm, right? We had more synchro. I got talked out of it as just try and get it done.
Yeah.
But I think 80 synchro toes to bar are going to be enough for synchro. It's going to be a tough
I was going
one.
to say that's how it opens.
Right.
And then from there, then it becomes one athlete working on one thing, one
Yep.
athlete
So you
working
can
on another,
split
and
the
one
80.
athlete resting.
Yeah, you can split the 80,
however you want.
80 chest to bar,
Between
and the 40 bar muscle ups. And then each scaled is toes to bar pull ups, chest to bar, and then masters is toes to bar, chest to bar, bar muscle ups at a lower number. Event 3, lifts for the everyone. Athlete 1 finds a 1 RM snatch, athlete 2 finds a 1 RM clean and jerk, and athlete 3 finds a clean anyway for 1 RM. So hopefully we see some big numbers. Yeah, I think it'll be good. I had a thruster in there and we took it out for difficulty for judging, like the step, everyone like went crazy if you stepped because the knee bends and things like that. And Kevin was like, we'll take it out. And I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. Because I want it to be the iron gauntlet.
Yeah.
I want it to be like snatch, clean, and jerk, thruster.
Yeah.
Similar to the iron gauntlet was, but I got vetoed. That's all right. And then
that's what I thought.
And then event initially. 4, same thing, sled relay. So it's the same run as the individuals, and the sleds are a little bit 1.5 miles. And then the sleds are the same weight as the individuals, except there's a middle sled, right? And so athlete 2 will do the middle sled, and athlete 3 will do the heaviest sled as well. Faster, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
So much pain. So much
sleds
sprinting.
hurt. Sleds just hurt, period.
Especially after the run. Event 6 is I think this is gonna be the hardest team workout from like a pain perspective. So it's 12, 15, 9, synchro sandbag cleans, synchro sandbag squats, and then a 60-foot handstand walk split, however. And so I think this one is going to really challenge the back and like your ability to move the sandbag. It's a lot of sandbag work.
Yeah.
It's only a 9-minute cap.
I looked at that one and was like, that doesn't look fun.
It's going to hurt. It's going to be the most painful one of the week, even more than the sled, because you're going to start and your back's probably going to just be like, oh, this feels great. And so it's just going to be a tough one. I'm excited for it though. I think it's going to be good. We've really worked. Kevin really laid in like this. He has this kind of like step process of safe, fun, balance test, fun to watch, easy to follow. Right.
Love that.
So we I did too. I'd never written a competition before. And so there was a lot of iterations of everything. And so he really pulled it in to make sure that like they're easy to follow. There's a good progression through the floor of every movement. So there's no confusion of who's in the lead, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And as the person calling the events, I love like that. Yeah. I mean, it's okay when it's not that way. And it is just like, oh my, like your brain is just like going, because I enjoy when I'm in the MC role, I really enjoy making sure that the people watching understand what's happening to the best of my ability, especially with the front people. Yeah, I mean, and I'm still new to the role and I'm very open to feedback, by the way. But anyway, yeah. So it's nice when they progressed on the floor like that and he like takes that into consideration. Cause I'm like, oh, that's nice.
Nice.
Yeah. Because it for the spectators, that's more fun. Yeah.
And then the finale for teams is WODpalooza inspired. So this is like a theme that WODpalooza has done in a lot of online qualifiers, but basically it's 3 girl workouts for time. Each athlete is choosing a girl workout to do. So Jackie, Fran, and then the iron gauntlet. So it's not a girl workout, but our little
spin on it
just here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be good. I'm super excited. Hopefully we'll see some PR Jackie and Fran times.
I am excited. I think the level of fitness around here is
everyone's so fit.
We're gonna have
it's Denver. Colorado.
Yeah, and I know of some athletes that like came in for it too. That just I'm just like those are fit people.
Yeah,
this is gonna be interesting. To watch.
It'll be good. Yep. Yeah, it'll be fun to watch for sure. Cool. Well, that's the preview. That was good. We did that in 10 minutes.
We did it.
We did it. You're welcome, clock. Thanks for bringing it back up. But yeah, well, hey, thanks. That was fun. Yeah. That was a good podcast.
Thank you for having me. I hope it was. I'm like I don't know what I've watched, I think, one other of yours
Sure.
with John.
Yeah,
Anyway,
those are different.
so
Those are like CrossFit
that you
news.
have with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
live thing. I think it's so cool. I really like that format,
Mhm.
your live interaction thing. Like, I love that. So anyway, I enjoyed being able to participate.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. We'll have to do it again soon.
Okay. Yeah, maybe next time we can actually focus on the event more.
Yeah. No, it's all
or
good.
not, whatever.
All right, guys, have a good night, and we'll see you guys over the weekend.
Started with